Yum, yum!
Hey there, Brad Peebler with Pixel Fondue, bringing you a little Moto tip. Actually, this is a tip for anybody doing computer graphics. It's about lighting. So, here's the tip, and then I'm going to show you a little bit why I'm giving you this tip. Turn off global illumination. I'm not kidding. Go to your computer right now and turn it off. You people are addicted to global illumination. You just turn it on, you put an HDR in the backdrop, and ooh, look, it looks real. No, stop it. Turn it off. Seriously. You got that? Is it off? All right, well, if you've turned it off, then we'll go in here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's good stuff. Are you ready? Let's do it.
Right. So here we are inside of Moto. I have a scene set up. This is pretty basic setup. This skeleton head skull, as we call it, I pulled that down off of the Moto share site. Very handy thing to have. This amazing base here, I made that myself. That's right, out of a cylinder. Maybe I'll do a whole tutorial on that, but not right now. I've got a little bit of depth of field going on here, and it looks fine, right? I mean, this is for someone who started CG in the 1990s, early 90s. This looks amazing, but let's be honest, it's a little bit, That's about how I sum it up. So as I said in the intro, first thing we're going to do is this. Just turn it off, all right? And hey, it's worse. Well, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Kill that directional light, okay? Now what do we have? We got, it actually kind of looks kind of cool because all we're getting is reflections right now. But I want you to go even further. Go to your environment and set that to single color. And hold down the shift key. Do you know about this? Hold down the shift key, left mouse click and drag on the color swatch. Boom. All three sliders drag down at the same time. Now that is a good looking image. Am I right? No, I'm not right. We need some lights. And Moto said, let there be light, or maybe Alan did, and there was, and it was good. We're going to choose an area light. And immediately, that's still not good. Let's grab the transform tool and move this around a little bit. Now we're starting to get somewhere. Okay. So that looks nice. Am I right? Check it out. Let's change this to the perspective view. Do you know about this? Control, spacebar, perspective, Shift A, just like that. And now we can get busy with our light here. So we just want to create some kind of dramatic light. This is where you can just start having fun. And again, HDR lights are amazing. Don't get me wrong. Global illumination, HDR, killer. But if you start playing with your own lights like this is when you start to get into happy accidents, right? You're setting up, you have an idea, you're going to do a 3-point lighting, and all of a sudden, you get something like this, and you're like, actually, that's kind of awesome. I'm digging that. And then you start to get really crazy, like going over here and saying, you know what? Let's crank that sucker up. Let's get some brightness going on there. I've got a little bit of subsurface scattering going on here. If we can take a look at the material, I'll show you. A little subsurface. Bring the diffuse amount down. And then you'll want to go back over to your light here. And this is where you want to do things like, play with the light colors. And this is where the fun happens. This is where the magic happens. You get in here, start messing around with lights, and you can come up with some pretty cool effects pretty quickly. And again, if you're just slapping HDR on here because it's easy and looks good fast, or even just using the default directional light, you're shorting yourself. You're shorting yourself a lot of fun, and you're shorting yourself, that extra little bump. Okay, so let's gonna push that out a little bit. And let's go ahead and, I don't know why it's bothering me that was off center. What I want to do now is create more lights. But before I create more lights, I'm going to add a locator to my scene. Yes, add item, locator. Huzzah, we're going to call this light rotation. And I'm just going to grab this area light and drag it down onto the light rotation guy. And now when I select that, hit E, now I can just So it keeps the main, kind of rotation of the light, but allows me to go in here and kind of get a feel for things. Now, the reason I did that first is now I can also go in here, grab this, right click, and I'm going to choose duplicate. Now I have two of them. That one is duplicated on top of the other, which is not good. So we need to move it. Right now I have selection action center. Let's go back to automatic so I can move it and rotate it in sort of world coordinates. And activate the rotate tool. Spin that around. And let's kind of get this one back to that kind of rim light effect. Bring that in. And looking pretty cool. Kind of like it that they're both the same. I would like to move this one around a little. And actually, did you know if you activate the move tool, these little handles are pretty handy too, because I can really kind of trim down scale of the light and rotate it around a little bit. See where it is. Kind of push that back. Yeah. See, this is the sort of fun exploration you don't really get if you're working strictly with high dynamic range lights. And again, remember, we have no global illumination on here at all, right? This is purely direct lights. So when we go to hit render, there's no radiance cache preprocess. There's no firing of a bunch of indirect rays. Now, I do have my AA samples up at 256. In fact, let's just bring this down. I was doing some final renders earlier. We don't need all of this craziness. Let's bring this down to 1200. If you hit Control before you hit Enter, it changes your height to be relative to that frame width. And settings here. I have cranked up reflection samples. We're going to bring these down and bring down the light samples. And we'll put it 512. Just to do some quick renders here. There we go. We have a pretty intense depth of field going on, which is why I had the settings cranked way up. Looks pretty cool, right? It certainly has a lot more dramatic effect than what we saw earlier with just that gray backdrop. And again, because we have this rotate locator here, now it's just a matter of pulling this around. You could also imagine doing an animation of this. And then, obviously I can just sit here and crank this around and get a feel for it. But you could do an animation of the rotation and then, play it back. That's funny. This one's now not even facing my guy anymore. There we go. It's pretty cool. And let's bring that in a little bit. And you know what we're going to do just for fun, because we can, we're going to add a point light. And the point light I'm going to put right down here. Spooky flashlight in the face. It's way too bright. Now there's a couple ways I can go about this. We can just crank that way down. But I can also add some volume here. So if I choose the radius, so you can drag this over here and it's going to change the radius. But what I like to do is grab that and in item mode, hit C for channel hall, and then in the 3D viewport, I can just click and drag that. And so we want that to be, and what that does is it actually creates volume for the point light so that it kind of spreads it out and makes it a little bit softer. And then we want this to be, of course, spooky. So there, that's spooky. What happens if we see now I'm just having fun, right? This is set that to 0. And what happens if we put it inside the head? Can I get that to be probably can. Right now it's getting in the nose, kind of sticking out. That's pretty bright. But once that resolves, it could be interesting. Looks like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Skeleton. Okay, not a great idea. What if I put one of the eyes? But you get the idea. You're not going to do that crazy Terminator thing, happy accident. If you are using all global illumination, see, that's not very good, but interesting. At least might be worth chasing it down. Let's just bring this down here like that. There we go. Just, again, now that I've seen that, it looks kind of cool with the dimmer light. I'm going to just bring that in here, bring it way down, and just use it for a little bit of a tinting. Yay. So there you go. That's my tip. Turn off global illumination. Now, again, this is, I will admit, an extreme example because, of course, I've turned off the backdrop, or I've made the backdrop black, but it really forces you to focus on your subject, focus on the lighting. You can always, at the end of this process, go back on and turn your global illumination on, see if it makes a difference. Guess what? I didn't see much of a difference there. You can see I turn it on and off. Not doing much. Now, again, this, if we were doing an interior, totally different story. But for this type of scene, highly recommend turning it off, adding your direct lights, and even working with an interior, turn it off. Turn off your backdrop. Work with your lights first, then bring this back on. You might be surprised and never need to turn it back on again. Save yourself some compute time. Why not? The other nice thing about this, of course, is that direct lights are a lot more stable than global illumination solvers. So there you go. And now it's just a matter of, having yourself a fun little digital photo session. You can hit Control F with your mouse pointed in the viewport there to set your focus. And now we just go in there and get some beauty shots. This also, you might want to go in and say, I've got pretty extreme depth of field there. F2. Come around here. Control F. Now we're just playing. Now we're just having a good time. Good times. All right. Enjoy your newfound trick. It's like playing the guitar. Anybody play guitar? If you play electric guitar, we get fixated on our effects pedals and we sculpt our tone and we go crazy. But periodically, you just have to unplug and go direct into your amp and just crank that amp, dial in your tone just the way you like it. Then you can put your effects pedals back in. It's the same thing here. Turn off the global illumination. Get direct in with those direct lights. Set up your shot. Then turn the GI back on and see if it makes a difference or doesn't. All right, that's my tip.
So there you go. Now you know, and knowing is half the battle. Hey, by the way, about that little episode at the beginning, let's forget that ever happened, shall we? All right, we're good? We're good. Get back in there, have some fun. We'll talk to you later. Cheers.
Yum, yum!